This is the story of Rapunzel, a German folktale from the Middle Ages recorded in the 19th century by the Brothers Grimm. It tells of an expectant mother who craves a vegetable grown in a witch's garden and the very high price her daughter must pay for her mother's craving.
A long time ago, there lived a poor farmer and his wife. They had lived alone for many years, so it was a special occasion indeed when the farmer's wife gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. To celebrate, the farmer's wife wished to have a feast. "I could be content with nothing more than a salad," she said, "if you could get me some fresh bellflower root from that lovely garden next door." The farmer agreed, but he did so reluctantly, for he knew that the garden belonged to a witch of great might who lived in a dark, forbidding mansion nearby. The farmer sneaked into the garden to look for the roots, when all at once he saw the witch standing before him. He was terribly frightened as she cried,
"You trespassing little insect! I'll show you!"
But as she was about to cast a terrible spell upon him, the witch heard another voice call out to her.
Heinrich!
It was the farmer's wife, cradling her newborn baby in her arms.
How dare you! And what have we here?
"Please show us mercy. My husband came into your garden because I begged him to." But the witch hardly seemed to hear what she said. The haggard old woman could not take her eyes off the beautiful newborn child. At length she said to them,
You want something from my garden? I might like something from yours, n'est-ce pas? You may have all the fruit of my garden you wish, if you give to me your beautiful little daughter to raise as my very own.
The parents' love for their child was great, but their fear of the powerful witch was greater still, so they granted her request. The old witch was beside herself with joy, and so determined to keep the child's love all to herself that she shut her up in a lofty tower deep in the wilderness, where she would grow up all alone. The witch called the child Rapunzel, for Rapunzel is another name for bellflower. Many years passed, and Rapunzel grew into a very beautiful young lady. But by that time, the witch had become so old and decrepit that she could no longer fly to the top of the tower. Then Rapunzel had to let down the long golden tresses of her hair so that the witch could climb up to her.
Don't be so cruel to your poor devoted mother. I've told
For
you
several years, they lived this way, and Rapunzel grew even more beautiful, but sadder and lonelier than ever. To lift her spirits, she sometimes sang to herself, and her voice would echo through the forest and die quietly away. One particular day, however, the king's son was riding through the wood, and he heard the sweet, sad song of the lonely girl. It was the most beautiful music that he had ever heard, and he followed it deep into the forest until he came upon a large tower. Before he could venture closer, however, he heard a piercing voice cry out,
Rapunzel! Let down your hair.
He was amazed when he saw the old witch hobble up to the tower,
You be so cruel. What on earth was that?
take a handful of Rapunzel's hair, and ride to the top. He waited and waited, and finally, when the witch went on her way, he approached the tower himself and cried,
"Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair!" Cheerio. Sorry if I gave you a start, old girl. I heard you singing and it was so lovely that
You better get out of here. If my ma knew you were here, there'd be an awful fuss.
I suspect you're right about that. When does she come to visit?
Usually in the morning.
Then I shall come to see you in the night, with your kind permission.
Rapunzel was amazed by the bold young prince,
Okay.
and a little frightened, too. He was so young and handsome, and spoke so kindly to her that she lost her heart to him. And so it came to be that Rapunzel was visited twice in every day, by the witch in the morning and the prince in the evening. This went on for quite some time, until one fateful night when the prince stayed a little too long.
Rapunzel! Tell me, are you ever lonely, my darling? Oh, no, I got loads of friends. The sunshine, the leaves, the raindrops, the prince. The prince?
Ooh, what a man.
Oops. I knew it! Oh, Mama, I'm sorry, but... You vicious, deceitful little tramp! Mama, I can't help that I love him. I'll show you what love is, my little lamb.
The next night, the prince came to the tower as usual. Rapunzel's golden hair tumbled down as usual. And he climbed up to the window as he always did.
What's the matter, Princey? Don't you want to kiss me?
What have you done with her, you? I saw...
You'll never see that thankless little strumpet again.
Rapunzel, where are you?
But there was no answer, except the final stroke of the witch's shears.
I must find Rapunzel. I must.
But the fall from the tower had blinded him. But a bird of the forest took pity on him and helped to guide him on his search for his lost love. In her eagerness for revenge, however, the witch had imprisoned herself in the tower, from which she never escaped. The prince wandered several years in misery, looking everywhere for his Rapunzel. He could not find her anywhere, though he searched to the end of the earth. At last, when all hope was gone and the prince had surrendered to despair, a soft, sweet voice found its way to him.
Quiet. Listen.
Just like the day many years before when he first wandered into the forest, though he dared not believe his ears.
Hey, fellas!
He had found Rapunzel at last. She restored his sight, and their hearts overflowed with joy. They returned to his kingdom, where they were married, and as people often do in fairy tales, they lived happily ever after.